This is Prime Business and I am Emma Davis. Welcome. Let's settle for the details. Professor Patrick Esumi, an economist, has stated that although the cedi is gaining some ground against the dollar, funds from the IMF may not sustain it in the long term since the Bank of Ghana is not allowed to intervene in the market. His comment follows a disclosure by the IMF that Ghana is likely to receive the third tranche of $360 million by the end of this month. He spoke to Joy Business.
There's been a general expectation following communication from the IMF and also from our own local, the Ministry of Finance, that the expectation has largely been that by the end of June, we would have gone through this. So these funds will come. And also, we have to look at the quantum of the money we are receiving and, how much of a difference it will make to our reserve position. But when you put all of that aside, there's some sense within the market that even when we receive these funds, the Bank of Ghana is restricted in its ability to intervene in the market because, we have to meet some reserve requirement, some gross international reserve requirement and net international reserve requirement in the IMF program. So in some sense, that inhibits the ability of the central bank to intervene even when you receive these funds. So overall, I'm not sure that just this announcement is enough to make a substantial change in terms of how the cedi has been performing. In terms of dealing with the cedi, we need to have a longer-term plan and we need to have a short-term plan. At the moment, we can't go and do any Eurobond. I think there has to be some improvement in how the management of the economy is going. I think for a long time, it appears that we've been in some state of a law. There's nothing really happening in terms of how we are managing the economy. So I think if we get any sense that there's some concrete plan, something new coming our way, maybe that might be enough to jolt just get some reaction from the investors. But until now, I think, the only thing that we know is the longer-term solutions, diversifying our exports and then cutting down our imports. That is not something we do in the short term.
Government recorded a 19.4% oversubscription of its Treasury Bills auction as demand for the short-term instruments rebounded. This was captured in the latest auction results from the Bank of Ghana. Interest rates, however, remained stable. Research lead at GCB Capital, Courage Puti, sharing his perspective, said the market is still very much liquid and expects more subscriptions.
Compared to previous weeks, we saw a bit of a pickup in interest around the 182 day. And so T-bill 91-day share in the total demand came down to about 64% from the averagely 75-76% levels we've seen in recent weeks. And we've seen 182-day bill demand almost double from 680 million the preceding week to about some 1.68 billion, so more than doubled for the period. In terms of yield dynamics, 25.04 is what a 91-day printed, unchanged from the previous week. The 182 and 364-day came in at 26.94, 27.93, and those are 2 basis points higher than the previous week. Now, the general trend is showing that the rate of yield decline has largely slowed down, and it's almost reaching a stable point around the 25 to 27.9% levels. And year-to-date, yield compression is looking at 4.3% on a 91-day, 182-day looking like 5%, and then 364 about 4.6% yield compression year-to-date. So that's how the market looked last week. Still very much liquid. The higher demand or target was supposed to, the initial concern that may lead to under subscription and all that. But the market is still very much liquid and now upbeat about T-bills. So we're seeing again oversubscription to the tune of 19.4%.
Right.
The Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Benjamin Boachi, says Ghana is gradually losing its position as a major electricity exporter in the West Africa sub-region. According to him, this situation will lead to revenue losses as other nations will be pushed to invest in their domestic energy generation infrastructures, thereby cutting off their reliance on other nations for supply.
We are encouraging other countries to build their own solution. It may be expensive, but when they commit to it, they don't have any choice than to depend on their own generation that may be even more expensive than importing from Ghana. The advantage Ghana had over the export market was on quality. Nigeria sells power cheaper than we do, but because we were more reliable, neighboring countries preferred power from Ghana. So one, we had to deal with that higher tariff and improve on our reliability because we weren't saints anyway. Because if Nigeria improves reliability with a cheaper tariff, they take the market.
The United Nations Development Programme Ghana, as part of the Green Ghana Day celebration, organized a tree planting exercise at the Chippa Forest Reserve. According to the project manager at UNDP, Samuel Apia-Dankwa, the exercise showcases their commitment to reviving the country's depleted forest reserves.
The tree planting exercise organized by the United Nations Development Programme was done in collaboration with the Forestry Commission and the Church of Pentecost. The group planted over 1,000 seedlings at the end of the exercise. In an interview, project managers at UNDP expressed their commitment towards helping to revive Ghana's depleting forest reserves.
I'm sure all around the country there are forest reserves where this planting is going on. This one was a little closer to Accra because we're bringing a lot of UN staff and Pentecost, one of the Pentecost branches in Accra, to come and help do the planting. So this is closer, but also serves that purpose of reforesting a degraded forest reserve. UNDP itself has a broader program of greening Ghana. So we have projects in the north and in the forest areas where we are reforesting a lot of degraded forests. So it is part of just a program of UNDP where a lot of trees are being planted for commercial trees. We have other models.
A zonal overseer at the Forestry Commission, Kobna Jemfi, outlined steps being taken by the Commission to maintain and improve the forest reserve.
So, the Chippa Forest Reserve is 2,410 hectares and it's a degraded forest reserve. What has led to it being degraded is mainly due to bushfires, and also with regards to the Green Ghana planting activities being held here, they are mostly due to combating and finding ways to mitigate climate change. So we are creating a resilient space where future and present generations can benefit from someday. So that's basically why such initiatives are very important. And when we talk of planting trees, it's not mainly about just planting. It also encompasses planting them to sink the carbon that we emit into the atmosphere.
This year's Green Ghana celebration is themed Growing for a Greener Tomorrow.
Today on Entrepreneur in You, Dr. Maxwell Ampon takes us through a practical way to approach our break-even point.
So the break-even point is very important because it allows us to learn or to be able to calculate when we start making money. Hello, today we speak about our break-even point. And the books will tell you that your break-even is calculated by your fixed cost divided by your selling price minus the variable cost. But today I want us to be more practical about it. So Kwame just told me that he used to buy books to sell. Let's say Kwame bought 100 books for 1,000 cedis. Not necessarily 100 books for 1,000 cedis. He bought 100 books, got home and realized he had spent 1,000 cedis. So his food, his transportation, his credits, everything costs 1,000 cedis. Kwame intends to sell these books at 20 Ghana cedis per book. Now your break-even point, it's one way to calculate how many books do I have to sell before Metemeka. before I'll be able to break even, before I'll be able to recoup the money that I've invested into the business. And in this instance, for 20 books, you'd have to sell 50 in order to recoup the 1,000. So the break-even point is very important because it allows us to learn or to be able to calculate when we start making money. It might be, selling and making some sales, but until you sell 50 books, you're not making profit. So the break-even point again is how many units do I have to sell, or how much of a service do I have to give out until the cost that I have put into the business is recouped. That's how I want you to think about break-even point in a practical way. And let me hear from you how you apply this in your own way, in your own business. Well,
brought to you by Africa School of Entrepreneurship.
Follow Dr. Maxwell Ampon and the Entrepreneur in You series right here on Mondays and Thursdays on the Joy News channel and on radio and on all our social media platforms. I am Emma Davis, and that's it for tonight's Prime Business. Have a good evening. Do log on to myjoyonline.com for more news.